Howdy gamers, it's Leighton here to do my absolute favorite part of doing this show, which is recording bumpers! Here with the usual stuff. So patreon.com/Leighton Night. Do you hate the ads? Are you just so sick of hearing the little ACAST jingle and then listening to words from our variety of wonderful sponsors who you'll hear about how much is supporting the show later in the episode? If you are absolutely sick of hearing that, guess what? Solution to your problem, patreon.com/Leighton Night. Because, and look, I don't mean to sound like a used car salesman here, but you won't get this deal anywhere else. The prices are so low, we're practically giving it away. You get access to our whole catalog of ad-free episodes, $2 a month. $2 a month, and video episodes at the same One Peach tier, $2 a month. We literally shouldn't even be doing that. It's at $5 and up that you get the Discord, the fan Discord, and the weekly minisodes and everything else. $2 a month, video, ad-free. Never hear the ACAST jingle ever again on this show. Look, I'm just being real with you. It's a great way to spend $2. It's a loss leader for us. Really, we do it for the love of the pod. All right. I don't know, there's probably other stuff that I'm supposed to say here, but if you want the ad-free version or the video version, patreon.com/Leighton Night. Go there now. I think we haven't updated our tiers in a while, but so even though it doesn't say it, it's the first, it's $2, the $2 one. That's it. I think that's it. Episode. Now the momentum of our previous conversation screeches to a halt.
All the juice is gone. The internet starts to fail. We freeze out.
Well, first
we're
of all,
washed, we're cooked. We absolutely crash out.
The first big laugh that was missed by viewers is that you did not expect this to be a video episode, and then you turned off.
And again, I could have nominally anticipated this would be a video episode.
In that every episode has been a video episode for the past years.
Oh yeah.
Then you reacted in horror at me widening the crop of the video, turned off your camera, and then when you turned it back on as a means of backdrop, you've hung a mist sweatshirt from a coat rack.
Oh yeah. It's called a stage picture. We are in a proscenium here on this 16:9 rectangle. And I give a shit. I'm sorry you don't give a shit.
Don't look at my sliver of garbage. I'm aware of the constraints of the medium as well as you are. Not of my own directionality, though.
Yeah, we're both real naturals at anything space related, anything physical body related.
This is true. I'm mainly a brain in a jar. My favorite thing about your mist sweatshirt being where it is that it reminds me of that picture of Willem Dafoe just looking... What's the word? Vacant, desolated, desolate. In a picture of like a halo in front of a Halo cardboard cutout and like stacks of Mountain Dew.
Yeah, that is such a weird one. Is that the same picture as the one of him sitting in the boot of a car? I don't know why I want to call it the boot of a car. Like
different
I'm British, one. But okay, different one.
That's the one where he's holding 2 oranges and has a cigarette in his mouth.
And he looks like cool and content, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the more existential.
It's
Halo
contemplative, and he's got his little hands like that.
I fucking love Willem Dafoe so much. He's
awesome.
So rad.
God, you haven't watched The Florida Project?
I have not watched The Florida Project. You very strenuously recommended it to me, and then I avoided it like the plague. Since you recommended it to me, life has thrown so many opportunities to see it. I was at an Applebee's and they put on The Florida Project. And when people were placing orders at the Applebee's, the servers would go shh, 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 and point at the screen. And I still didn't watch it.
Aside from when they were screening The Florida Project, which I believe, when's the last time you were at an Applebee's?
Sadly, living in California, it has been probably 12 plus years since I have been to an Applebee's.
You know, maybe that would be a good gimmick episode, a thing that I'm notoriously bad at coming up with, even though I prefer gimmick episodes to having guests on. Sorry to every guest we've ever had. And also, you don't count as a guest. You're like a third host.
Wow.
If Brian and I went.
Not paid like one.
Well, neither are we.
All right, now we can say whatever we want because this isn't going to be in the episode. But
No, I think we're pretty open about that. We talked about our Whole
great.
Foods snafu recently.
wait, I'm sorry. You're repeating stuff for the audience, but I want to hear the Whole Foods snafu story.
So, like many podcasts, we're with Acast, which has really come through for us in paying us pennies on the dollar for ads that have driven away listeners, yet not funneled them towards the Patreon in any meaningful fashion. And
Great.
that also we have no control over like banning certain advertisers. So I've heard that we've gotten BetterHelp ads, and I've heard that we've gotten Jordan fucking Peterson ads.
Oh, God.
We can't do anything about that besides send an email, and then they don't do anything. Anyway,
So you can counter program just by constantly evoking and talking shit about Jordan Peterson on the podcast.
no, I don't think so. We've openly talked shit about Acast once before when I shared this story, and they haven't done anything because obviously
All
they
right.
don't listen to shows. But we saw that for our monthly revenue report, which also they take forever to pay out, shocking, that the payout was suddenly orders of magnitude higher, as in $10,000 ad spend from Whole Foods. Now, I can't stress enough without saying actual numbers how much more money that is than we've ever made in a month off of the Acast. That anyway, we were like, surely this must be an error, but we took screenshots and we downloaded the CSVs, and we were like, maybe this thing's finally paying off, other than the emotional support and, you know, reaching thousands of listeners, et cetera, et cetera.
Lovely.
No, next month it was back to just showing that it was not indeed a $10,000 spend. It was like a $10 spend, which is also more than any one company will do with this show in a month.
So, was it literally a clerical error that this amount was misreported to you?
Yes, actually, you know what? It wasn't even a $10 ad spend. The ad spend was exceeded by the amount of money that I had paid for an iced coffee that I got earlier in the day and was drinking while recording that episode.
Well, you're a millennial. You live in Los Angeles.
It's true.
Covered in your avocado oil and such.
I'm slathered with it.
I meant the drink, but also, yes, we are both
Oh, yeah.
LA millennials, damp with various oils.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the... Why did I mention that? Anyway, but gimmick episode, question mark. If
Applebee's.
If Brian and I ironically go to an Applebee's, it'll be really funny and timely.
Problem with doing ironic chain restaurant stuff in Los Angeles is that it's like a 2-hour drive commitment. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
think the
can't
nearest
even get to a
Applebee's-
fucking open Dairy Queen. So,
Yeah, Dairy Queen. Didn't the one in Victorville close?
oh,
I think the Cracker Barrel and the Dairy Queen in Victorville both closed. The Cracker Barrel's a bummer.
God, what are we even doing here?
I hate to tell you, truly, it's a 1-to-1. It's an A to B. The B, they went broke. Can you guess what the A is?
Apple?
I'm talking about Cracker Barrel, not Applebee's. I would have set up the joke different.
Wait, what was the joke?
Cracker Barrel went woke was the joke I was doing.
Okay, that's pretty good though.
Thanks.
No, I thought you were going for an apple to bees joke.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
No, yours was better. It's more fitting with the ideological bent that this show has taken on. Actually, Brian's not here. Wait, I can't even do that joke either. Welcome to Late Night without Brian Wecht, thank God.
I don't
Here
feel
in-
that way about our friend. I value
Fuck
him.
you. Suck up even when he's not here. We might have had this exact same joke in exchange the last time you were on. Don't worry about it. This is Jory Griffiths,
Sucks. Hi.
beloved friend and guest of the show. Welcome back. How does it feel?
That's wonderful.
Wow. Lovely. Now, I don't want to get into the only thing I had planned, air quotes, for this episode just yet. So, you got anything?
What are we watching?
Yellow Jackets still with
Quality.
morbid interest. Well, there was the one Soul Good Emily St. James episode of this season. There's one episode left, and what they're doing is utterly fascinating. So fascinating that the other day I wrote 6,000 words about it that is not going to be posted anywhere, but just for my own soul, for the sake of my soul. The fandom reaction, and it's like, it's self-harm that I even look at this, but I can't look away because so many people love it still. And then the people who hate it are then dogpiled by people who love it, as is the nature of fandom.
Yeah.
And the refutations of the criticisms are some of the weakest I've ever seen. So a lot of the 6,000 words focuses on that issue. Particularly, I was in a haze when I wrote this. There's, the Melanie Linsky character is awful. And people hate her. And so the response to that criticism has been, do you want to guess what it is?
People hate a woman on a show. But wait, the show is all women. It's still misogynist anyway, though, right?
Yeah, people like Walter White and Tony Soprano and Don Draper.
Right.
So I went point by point by how Tony Soprano, Walter White, and Don Draper all have meaningful character development and moments of pathos throughout a show, and the changes that they're made in their characters, particularly the slow spiritual rot of Tony Soprano and Walter White, and also a digression about how people say that Walter White started the show as a good guy, as somebody who has rewatched the show over a dozen times. Nuh-uh, no. And I feel strongly about this. Don't fight me on this. I'm not talking to you.
The gray matter thing is like the entire point of the first season, I feel. Like, he had a falling out because he was already a gigantic asshole.
Yeah, and he felt emasculated by Gretchen's money and then blew it all up. And then every effort to bring him back into the fold or whatever, like, he denies out of sheer stubborn pride, as Mike says in his final monologue. You and your pride and your ego.
We had a good thing going.
Your Jonathan Banks is a lot better than mine.
It just was great.
Anyway, so I did a whole thing about how, their declines are depicted realistically, and this happens because this happens because this happens. Both of those shows are all about what causes them to get worse, and in what ways do they showcase that decline. And I compared like how Don Draper is already in a soul-sucking business, and ultimately his moment of revelation is just appropriated to be product and selling more product. Like, that's his endpoint. And how people don't like Shauna Shipman, not because they hate women. They hate her because she's a bad character. And her decline, which you can't even call it that, it's just like suddenly in both timelines, she's crazy. Which also...
both in the past and present, she happens to both go fully nuts, even though that's not how linear time works in the context of the show. Yeah,
and additionally... there are a lot of issues with how the show depicts its many queer relationships and also mental illness, and watching people vociferously defend those choices, being like, it's just a show. It was never meant to be about realistic mental illness. Fucking excuse me. I've watched you bitches excoriate so many things, including also me, for these same issues. And I know not everybody on the internet is the same person, but oh my God, this kind of fandom hive mind, if you will, you get to suddenly decide that those issues don't matter because it's the show you like. Which,
that shit always drives me wild. It's so
to
silly.
Quote Jon Stewart, at least be consistent in your outrage. Anyway, why am I talking about? Nobody cares about this shit. Anybody who is actually watching the show and would care about spoilers would be mad at me talking trash.
That's true, yeah. They've already
and people who weren't going to watch it aren't going to watch it anyways and won't have the context for why I'm so mad about it. And maybe, the ultimate thing that pissed me off is 3 separate Radiohead OK Computer drops, only one of which is good, and the next 2 are just fucking insulting.
Over the course of how many episodes? That's such a strange thing to keep dripping into the show.
There are 2 in one season and 1 in the most recent season, and that's the one that really, really got me.
Like Like, mix up which record you're pulling from at least. That's so strange.
I know.
Have I told you about this? I had I've been listening to a lot of Beatles for some reason, and I started thinking about how much I want to do. You know the song "Don't Let Me Down."
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about how much I would love if it was like I remember reading like Matthew Weiner talk about how expensive it was to sample that Beatles song for the 5th season of Mad Men. So I know it's like incredibly hard to sample or license Beatles music, but I was thinking about how great it would be to, as a jump scare in a horror game, just suddenly it's like the thing that you hear instead of like a or like a creature screaming is Paul McCartney going, "Don't let me down." I think it'd be so fucking rad. I've been obsessed with that.
Yeah, instead of, I don't know, spoilers for season 3 of Yellow Jackets, but also I don't care. Using exit music for a film while a character is dying, per se, and the really effective great drop in that. Wow. I wonder if there's any major movie that has done that in the past 20 years. I don't know. Anyway, doing that for the most whack. I don't care. I don't think characters deserve anything. They don't deserve better. I think actors deserve better sometimes, especially how it has been repeatedly expressed by actors who have been killed off in the show, that they all feel betrayed by the way that it's happened and the fact that it's a recurring theme. And anyway, it's just it's a narrative betrayal of, this isn't even like you know, like so many Breaking Bad and Sopranos deaths are. It's just like this makes no goddamn sense and is just a Rian Johnson twist to be a twist, which the show is full of.
Yeah, that's painful. For me, the best part of any season of TV is the point where a character who you kind of were on the fence about whether or not they were very bad, they're about to do something, and then you start to hear woo 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 woo. Pleased to meet you. And, oh my God, they've been the doggone devil all along. That's called subtext. That's like when Walter White started wearing a black shirt, and that meant that he was very bad.
I also see in these Reddit threads about Yellow Jackets, people bring up Lost, which this show is inspired by and also blatantly copies many plot beats and needle drops as cutesy homages. But then people will bring up, like, this show isn't going to answer anything, like Lost, which didn't answer anything and also was a waste of time.
Because I was dragging my heels through that show, episode to episode, season after season, just wanting to know why there was a polar bear. I would fast forward through all the character training scenes just because I wanted to know more about the comic book that Walt was reading.
And I barely paid attention to seasons 4 and 5, where surely no questions were answered. That Absolutely show answers too many questions by the end of the run. The fuck are you talking about? I'm sure people's experiences who watched it as it was airing might be different. Okay, fine, whatever. But how dare you compare the steaming garbage pile of Yellow Jackets to the far superior Supernatural plane crash show, where people will be like, and this is what I get for reading Reddit threads. This is self-harm. I admit this fully. But then being like, Lost is so wishy-washy. They couldn't pick if it was supernatural or if they were crazy. What the fuck are you talking about?
They were crazy?
What are you talking about? And to a lesser degree, I've seen them say, like, they couldn't pick if it was supernatural or not. You sons of bitches. You. What are you?
There's a vapor demon ghost in the first episode.
They didn't answer what the fog monster is. Yes, they did.
Way too explicitly.
Too much.
I mean, it turns out that if you get stabbed with a little knife and then you fall down a waterfall into a hole, and in the hole there's a cork that is the spout that leads to the well of all evil on Earth, then you'll turn into a black smoke man. I mean, the answer isn't great, but it's there.
Anyway, yeah, it's if you want to like your thing, defend it well. Make cogent arguments, but don't immediately resort to ad hominem arguments when people bring up better critical points, like I almost just did in calling you stupid dumb fucks. See, that doesn't feel very good, does it? I didn't have to do that, and it was unnecessary to make the point that I'm trying to make.
I also this ties into the perennial topic of people like associating their own value and self-worth with the stuff that they consume.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you could also just like stuff that sucks. Like,
Yeah.
you can like whatever you want. It doesn't say anything about you. Like, you can just like a shitty thing that you enjoy watching from week to week.
And
that's totally fine.
It's this cringing begging for validation online for other people to validate your taste in media. And I get it, because I spent 20 years of my life doing the same thing. Like, feel secure in what you like. Don't just go with what everybody else likes. And then don't pull that shit where you're like, people who like XYZ are only pretending to like it, because you're admitting that you pretend to like stuff. People who are secure in their fucking ego, whatever, don't pretend to like things other than for politeness, which I know we both do.
That's true.
And you know what? That's a perfect segue into what our main topic today is. But it's
that's right. Ratatouille is the only good Pixar movie. The rest of them have always been dog shit.
Agreed. So over the weekend,
I completely killed the inertia of the segue.
Horrible. Over the weekend, you and I and Rachel and Audrey, and notably not Brian. And where I still don't know.
Arrogant bastard. I up until I got into the car, I thought Brian was going to be in the car.
Well, yeah,
even though I knew the causal reasons he would not be there, I still was just like I was hoping to see Santa Claus in the middle of the night. I was just holding out a wing and a prayer.
Like Rachel said, that Brian organized this like it was a play date. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we went with Audrey and Rachel to go see a movie neither you nor I probably would have ever seen without the influence of a small child who loves Minecraft. And that was my first social interaction in weeks. IRL.
Yeah. Were you happy to be in a room with 500 screaming children?
On opening weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, computer. No, that's right. Never mind. That didn't make any sense.
I'm trying to go on this walk with you.
No, because I almost said opening weekend, which almost... don't humor this.
My Sylvania, Ohio heads understand why I want to make a reference to Oak Openings, the park, but none of those people are listening. Leighton, what's your level of familiarity with the video game Minecraft, created by Marcus Persson, whom I haven't kept up with recently? I don't know what Notch is up to.
Normal stuff, I'm sure. I can't play Minecraft because it makes me violently motion sick. And so despite many tries over the years to play Minecraft, I can't do it, even though I'm sure it's the type of game that, like, mechanically and, crafting and customization wise, I would probably really, really like.
I think you'd love it, yeah.
But even watching Audrey play it, which also she whips the camera around in a way that an overenthusiastic child would naturally.
I also do that. I became very self-conscious about the way that I use the Unity and Blender scene views from trying to stream stuff to you, because I was whipping around like crazy. I'm not even thinking about it.
Yeah, I picked a great career path for getting motion sickness from video games. So yeah, that's my familiarity with Minecraft. I think Audrey's opinion from completely forgetting you exist to really liking you as a person turned when she found out you like Minecraft and gaming in general. Is that right?
Oh yeah, it was wild. I was telling her all about what a shitty builder I was, like really kind of trying to like downplay my level of expertise, so that then when we got in there and I was like building shit left and right, like, oh, chimney, oh, I got a waterfall elevator that takes you right up to the bay. Oh, and I started just like throwing that stuff together so fast, and she was like, you think you're not a good builder? She had like a very mature take on it. She was like, you're a really great builder. It was dope.
Yeah.
Very validating.
I think that's beautiful. So tell me a little bit more about your experience with Minecraft as a video game.
And this was actually something that I found fascinating was, hold on, when did the Minecraft Alpha come out?
Oh,
Uh,
in an amount of time that will make you feel aged.
yeah, for real. Hold on. I'm going to type on my extremely loud keyboard real quick.
The fourth host of
So,
this show, if you will.
the public alpha was in 2009. And I was playing it then. Like, I started playing during some of the first alphas.
So longer than
I've
Audrey's been alive.
Yes, that is the thing that was really chilling to me was like, oh, the audience for this movie is significantly younger than the video game, which is like, I mean, I guess that's happened before. Like the Super
It
Mario
was.
Bros. Movie was just a couple years ago. Like, it's not that weird, but still.
Oh, you mean the not live action one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the baying children like screaming and yelling about a video game they love, which also I loved, and I was already an adult when I started playing it, and now 15 years later, these children who were just born are also wild about it. And it's like, in a way, I think that's kind of beautiful, but
Yeah.
also there's such a respectable, understandable, like steel curtain of Gen Z around this movie that makes parts of it almost incomprehensible to my brain.
Yeah, additionally, the same is true of Five Nights at Freddy's, which I've watched a lot of the analog horror fan made things, which are often, again, made by teenagers, like young
Mm-hmm.
children, where the comments are like, I grew up with Five Nights at Freddy's, which, as someone who has spent years being annoyed by older adults being like, oh my God, you don't remember XYZ. Oh my God. You were children when it came out. What are you talking about? Now you're commenting on YouTube.
Yeah. You have to watch Gem and the Holograms, by the way. I was just trying to think of a mediocre 80s cartoon that I could act like was.
Yeah.
Actually, Gem is a bad pick. I think Gem is more fun than some of those shows.
Well, I will talk about the two children's movies from my childhood that I watched after we watched the Minecraft movie because I didn't know what to do with the rest of my day after we saw it.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I wanted to more critically analyze the fact that what my reaction to the Minecraft movie was. And I was like, well, if I feel so high and mighty about this, then let me revisit a few from my childhood
That's
and see if they
fascinating.
hold up. And they fucking did. So,
Well, I love Robert Rodriguez as a director. I did not like. I have not actually seen any of the Spy Kids movies from beginning to end. You're talking about Spy Kids, right?
I am talking about Spike.
um, uh, the I was thinking about Spy Kids a lot during the Minecraft movie because the
Really?
CGI is so tough
Yeah.
and so many sequences where the actors were on like the fourth round of reshoots and were in front of a green screen again and didn't know what the context was and so completely didn't want to be there that I was thinking about Spy Kids a little bit.
Yeah.
But
And the
Spy Kids, it
thing,
feels playful. Like Spy Kids didn't have $150 million budget.
there is a distinct style to the keyframing of the CGI in like multiple creative ways that are very aware of themselves in at least the first two Spy Kids movies, which in my mind are the only two good ones.
Oh,
That it is such a joy to watch because a lot of it is CGI slop, but animated in a way that's like interesting and characterful and isn't a lot of the stuff that we see now. But like there's a distinct change for certain video game brain. I was going to say enemies in Spy Kids 2, where there's like a whole Jason and the Argonauts, like Harryhausen kind of styled sequence along with the other stuff. Like it's impossible for me to not be charmed by that.
yeah.
Anyway, we'll get into that later. Back to Minecraft.
uh, the 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 things that I've had locked and loaded to say positive about the movie, and I think I already expressed these in a text message to you and Brian.
Right, because
Um,
after we called Brian in the car so Audrey could talk
so
about how
Audrey
much she loved the movie to an audience of people.
be effusive about how much she loved it.
She loved it
Frustrated
so
by
much.
Steve having too many diamonds, more than a plausible amount of diamonds. He's Steve, Audrey. He's the title guy. You can buy a shirt with him on it. Of course he has a lot of diamonds. What are we talking about?
Yeah, after receiving that call, Brian very soon after texted our group chat with Jory. So what did you guys really think of the movie?
The question was, so how bad is it?
Sorry, yeah.
Uh, so I think that there's a bunch of parallel realities where kids hate this movie. I do think that like locking into what Gen Z wants to see is not a skill I have.
God,
Or
I'm
Gen
fucking.
Alpha.
Thank you. I
Like
was about to bristle at you saying Gen Z.
it's definitely like I do think that that is tough work to do, to like actually figure out what kids are going to go nuts for and like quote in the movie theater, as opposed to like rolling their eyes, like figuring out exactly the extent to which your audience is irony poisoned so that they will love the annoying ironic thing instead of hating it.
Yeah.
I i think that is an odd kind of impressive. And the other positive thing is, and we should get more into this in a little bit, but like it's fascinating. I'm really interested in the development history of the movie. That a little bit of that, like, the director was Jared Hess, the director of Napoleon Dynamite,
Yeah.
and the movie has little bits of that sensibility. And when those pop up, I tended to find them kind of genuinely funny. Like
Yeah.
there's a good handful of written jokes and weird casting choices that feel very sincere and surprisingly funny.
Yes, I think the written jokes, only one genuinely landed for me, but I was laughing a lot through the movie at the children's reaction to things that were
Oh
happening.
yeah.
And the one joke that was genuinely funny to me was just because it was so hyper specific, and also about vehicular manslaughter. Uh, you know, can't spell without man's laughter. Uh, so that's good. I'm glad that you are kind of tying in the director's previous oeuvre, which it's been 19 years since he made a movie, question
I
mark.
There was some movie that
Oh,
he and his wife made. His wife, whose name I don't remember, which I feel bad about now that I say it out loud.
yeah.
That they made some feature I haven't seen. So there's Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre,
Is it
which Nacho
Gentlemen
Libre is in.
Broncos?
Yes,
I've never seen it, and I've never
me
seen
neither.
Nacho Libre either. But
Nacho Libre is not good, but it's kind of like the drop off from Napoleon Dynamite was really really fast. Where like Napoleon Dynamite is hyper earnest and really funny, but has like
yeah,
kind of sincere character moments that I think really work. And Nacho Libre is just like heightened absurdist stupid shit like immediately when the movie starts, and it's just kind of a different
yeah.
thing.
And I think you can't say the same about Minecraft by any extent of the imagination. This is like the most cynical capital P product that there could be. You wouldn't go that far?
I think so. I think that like the amount of I don't know, if I think about something like Spy Kids, or I was thinking this during like Yellow Jackets and Lost talk too, where it's like I do think that there are so many complicated layers of venture capital and stockholders and think like various like holding companies that have the reins of a movie like this one now in a way that they just didn't before. And so like I think that any movie that costs this much money is inherently going to be like the most capital C capital P craven product you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, and so I think that I I think anybody can make a movie that has personal touches if they're not spending a lot of money on it. And so that makes me legitimately curious what led to this movie having two or three very sincere and funny written jokes. Like, how is it possible those didn't get revised out at some point? Like, because like the movie, I don't think it's good at all, but the movie has like the opening portion that's set entirely just in the town that most of our protagonists either live in or are moving to, um, where it's like maybe they just have had that since a really early draft no, it never was the specific knit any execs wanted to pick. So it stayed in the way it is, including a couple of little jokes that are pretty funny. Like the Jennifer Coolidge character got to stick around, even though it's completely unnecessary to the plot of the film.
Yeah, I mean, she was the real highlight for me, but I truly think they have to open it with the stinger of overlong exposition dump in Minecraft World by Jack Black before switching to that segment of the protagonists being established in the town, which I just think takes so long
Yeah.
for not much happening other than very familiar. I don't know. The pacing is really bad, and maybe if they had developed that section a little more interestingly or like paced out the different characters' stories better, because I feel like so much of that was Jason Momoa's character, which is fine because
Jason,
he's the most interesting part of that and obligatory child backstory. But then, like, you know, the realtor doesn't really get a lot of time to do much prior
no,
to that.
it feels like she was all but cut out of the movie. And like
Yeah.
and like she even like truly like so many shots of her are inserts of just her head and shoulders or her whole body standing on a green screen.
Yeah.
I said this to you during the credits of the movie that like she's really funny, Danielle Brooks, and she's just like has nothing to do in this movie. And like
Yeah.
generally, I don't think Jason Momoa is a great comic actor, but he seems like he wants to be there.
Yeah.
She feels like she does not want to be there. Like it feels like at some point this became a very different thing than what she signed up for. And I'm sure what she signed up for looked like fucking shit, but it was
Yeah.
just like maybe a little more something she could make an impression on.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
aspect of the movie was tough.
it's her character and the sister character are both so them being paired up, that feels the most like reshoot shit where it's like what are we doing?
Yeah.
What's going on?
And it even has the joke during the epilogue where they're explaining what happened to everybody because the audience really, really is invested in these characters and wants to know what happens to them.
Yeah.
That like she has a new skill, like self-defense. Like she opens a self-defense studio where she like teaches people to fight. And it's like that's such a completely token thing that happens in the movie that doesn't feel specific to her at all. And they decided that was her entire deal. Just like
Yeah.
trying to wrap a bow around this character trajectory that just doesn't really work or feel satisfying.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like we're going through this very non-linearly, but
That's fine.
this wasn't a movie I loved as a kid, but I've been working through all of the. I have my fidget spinner as I frequently do on this podcast. I need to
Remember,
stop.
it's Audible. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I have been working through all the Steven Spielberg movies in conjunction with a different podcast I shall not name, but I watched Hook the night before
Oh.
watching this movie, and that movie has what I would characterize as disastrous pacing problems getting into the meat of the movie. Like you spend so much time in that movie on um, Peter Banning, the former Peter Pan, who has become an extremely hackneyed 80s and 90s like corporate businessman who's cool to his children because he doesn't know, like he's out of touch with what it's like to be a child. And you have to sit in it for like 35 minutes before anything Neverland related happens in the movie.
Hmm.
And it's just like agonizing because you know it's going to get there, but it takes such a long time. And so I was really actively thinking about that during the first act of the Minecraft movie
Mm.
because they so clearly have that big front loaded exposition dump from Jack Black because, like, you want to see the fun guy who the kids are going to watch the songs on TikTok later,
Well, yeah.
and you want to get into Minecraft before you have to go back to the isekai other world to before the portal gets opened.
Yeah.
And I think I give them a little bit of credit for. I do think they thread the needle pretty well of making the Jason Momoa character an emotional child. Like he feels like a good POV character for the audience because he's like a dingus, and
Yeah.
where it's at least like he's not a completely boring guy who we're learning about this world from.
Yes.
That said, like I said, I don't think Jason Momoa is a good enough comic actor to carry that material. It's so trite, and I think it does feel very corporate washed over that like he needs to be like an 80s nostalgia icon who plays like generic 80s video games
Yeah,
where
and
it's
like the
like
Macho Man Randy Savage visual angle is
yeah,
interesting. Is it just
like
for
who's that
parents of
for?
Gen Alpha children?
Where it's truly like the execs who are at the studios right now, that's
Yeah.
their vision of somebody who's overly obsessed with video games is like a
Yes.
40 to 50 year old memory of what that person would have been like. That's
Yeah.
really strange.
Yeah. I don't even know what I was gonna say. Just a lot of things are really confusing. And I don't say that as someone who doesn't care about Minecraft. I say that just in general. The fact that children tolerate the pacing of that first bit, which, you know, as you mentioned, time immemorium, a ton of kids movies take forever to get there.
Yeah.
But then like once you get there, there's not, for a movie whose message is like purportedly about creating things, there's not a whole
Yeah.
lot of that. There's just a lot of like fights. Which, to be clear, I know Minecraft, Minecraft, the central antagonist of the Sherlock Holmes books. Uh, I know a lot of that, you know, it was combat stuff, and you gotta have it to keep it interesting for kids. But like, the most engaging that world for me in the movie is when they're building stuff or when they're crafting things. And I
Yeah.
thought that there would kind of be a little bit more of that after the inexplicable tater tot megaphone.
I
Like,
know. And the
sure, why not some weird mashed up stuff? Homestuck did this for years. End the podcast.
Late Night is produced by Brian Wecht and Leighton Gray. Sign up for our Patreon.
where is the Homestuck movie? How does that not spun up yet?
God, because hopefully everybody who read it during the heyday is in their 30s now. And nobody with a lick of self-respect would have gone back and read it.
Give it 20 to 30 years. The execs are going to be hungry for Homestuck.
Well, the child,
The execs are all going to be crypto psychos who are still obsessed with it.
that's true. Two people did spend $10,000, $15,000 on the Kickstarter to have their OCs show up for one panel and immediately be killed.
Oh
So,
my
you know,
goodness.
it's not outside of the realm of possibility. And the child who on the forums was born and supposedly named John Carcat last name, whatever the person's last name is, you know, they're kicking around. They're at least 10 by now.
They're loving the Minecraft movie right now.
Yeah, that's probably true. But for all of Homestuck's flaws and of the many great things about it, you know, a central component of the isekai like game mechanic of the world is crafting in that same way, and a lot of the fun stuff comes from the characters crafting fun weapons and fun things that I would have loved is the wrong word. I would have liked that more than the big CGI mess battles. Now, I'm about to glaze Spy Kids later, considering all the CGI stuff, but I just don't care about the what is it? The pig? What are the pig creatures?
The piglins.
The piglins. I don't care. I don't find that main villain compelling. Is she a big part of the games?
No, that's there's piglins that become zombie piglins if they go to the real world.
Right.
That is the only element of that that's from the game. Like everything else about it is completely for the film. Like the witch, like leader of them is an
Yeah.
original character.
Yeah. I don't even know. Well, the kids loved it, so I can't even say that. But I'm surprised that that was so engrossing to the children.
So we haven't talked about the visuals yet. Kind of doing an end run around that real quick to say that the movie's visuals are nightmarish. They are such a catastrophic misfire, in my opinion. But it's clearly not bothering the children who are going to see it. So
Yeah, but we
the studio's
harassed the studio for the Sonic movie to change how fucked up he looked.
Yeah, and that was objectively good. It's objectively good that a bunch of underpaid artists worked themselves to the bone to the 11th hour to make sure Sonic's teeth looked right. Uh, but I think that the witch pig character, the villain, who I don't remember the character's name nor the name of the actor who plays her, I think she's the only good-looking effect in the movie. I think
The
that character
fabrics
generally
in
looks great.
every time she was on screen, I was like, the fabric looks so good.
I sincerely was wondering at times if it was part puppet with a CG face. The fabric looked so good that I was like, I wonder if this is part practical. I thought she looked awesome. And I think the voice actor was absolutely crushing it. Like, I think she was one of the only genuinely very good things about the movie. She was really great.
Yeah.
I thought she was super funny.
Yeah, it's just any situation where there's just like endless disposable minions, which again is a very video gamey thing. I, why do I care? Why do I even care about them getting out into the overworld? We don't see any of the other characters do anything other than be besieged by creatures. It's not like any of them really get into the crafting thing beyond Steve and protagonist child.
I think also that like I as is appropriate for this podcast, I toe the party line and I hate Ready Player One. But like,
otherwise
it's interesting.
You would be kicked off and blacklisted.
And then you would do a solo podcast for the next 30 minutes.
I'm real good at that.
I was trying to intimate that it was your worst nightmare, so that was clearly a miscalculation on my part.
What I'm doing directly after this recording.
Are you actually?
Well, I'm going to be playing Dead by Daylight, so at least the children will be able to hear me swear a lot.
That's good for gamers,
that's what Let's Plays are about, right?
Yeah, that and saying gamer words. I think the Ready Player One thing that generally works well is the sense that like there's a community of people who are passionate about this thing, and that's what's at risk from it becoming like commodified. Like, that's a convenient metaphor, even though it doesn't work in the real world application of the story, because it's all commodification. It's all fucking bullshit. It's fucking the Battletoads and Chucky. I don't fucking care if that gets commodified. It's already a commodity. What the fuck are you talking about? But anyway, I think in the context of Minecraft, it's like, maybe if they do something that feels more like a metaphor for it being a large server that kids are having meaningful connections with each other playing on. But like, I think it almost completely short circuits any of that potential metaphorical weight when it's been Steve just playing it alone for all this time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why that isn't a part of the narrative. Maybe because Microsoft doesn't want kids who play the game alone to feel sad about it, which I do get.
Yeah.
But like, I'm so confused by the story being like, it legit feels like the first act of the movie, Steve is going into the Minecraft world alone and building a huge theme park and all this other stuff for himself alone, in a way that like feels like a setup for him to say, and then I realized it was all fucking pointless because I was isolated and alone. Like, that felt like a hack trope that the movie was going to do, and instead it doesn't do that. And it was like, oh, so I guess they are trying to make the point that no, Minecraft is just really fun no matter how you play it.
Yeah, and sort of ultimately the message of the movie, this is so uncharitable of me, is just like, don't sink all your time into video games and go back to the real world, which we've established is sucks and everyone's in financial dire straits.
Yeah. As you made the point at some point after the movie was over, that like it feels like some like recession metaphor is present in the movie, which is maybe just
not even metaphor. I think it's just text.
Yeah, that's true.
Knowing you brought your family to this movie, which probably cost you in excess of $100 between concessions and tickets. And
the gigantic pieces of plastic your kids are going to be throwing in the trash.
Yeah,
I was so thrown. The pink sheep popcorn bucket for this movie truly is like the size of the child who is buying it. Like, there's so much plastic, it really made me sad. But I don't know. I feel like there's probably creative solves for a lot of things that suck about the movie, but it's also just like a movie like this is so completely not a creative process. Like, the movie being put together and produced just is completely separate from that. which again is why the couple of times there's a funny joke, I'm like legit thrown by it.
Yeah. And it's like,
yeah, it's
how did this get through? But if we're going to use that same argument, how did the Ariel 69 get through?
Yeah.
Also, a lot of that stuff, which maybe we'll talk about later, where it's like, we presumably vetoed other stuff to do this, but you're not going to commit. Is this the only comedy for adult? Uncharitable. Is this the only comedy for adults? Like, these are the adult jokes that adults will get, that like they're being kind of gay.
I also feel like that it kind of reminds me of like the whole Republican thing about like keeping anything that mentions transgender people, for example, out of the school library so that kids won't know about it. It's like, motherfucker, kids ain't going to the fucking school library. You think they have any idea what those fucking books say?
Yeah.
That, like,
good news, the children aren't
the
reading, and with your legislature, they never will again. Good job.
Yeah, that was intentional. I feel like kids do know what 69ing is. Like, kids get that stuff.
I knew what 69ing was before I knew it was a sex thing as a child. Like,
so true.
I remember my cackling older male, not older, my age, but on 4chan is what I mean by that. My friends making fun of me for not actually knowing what a 69 was.
Jesus Christ.
Being the lone girl in a all-male friend group is fun.
And it's a common story that unites an entire generation. And now that geek culture is on top, I've been really curious to know recently if women are having that problem worse than ever recently. Because boys are more unabashed in loving geek shit than ever, which makes me realize that, those same boys are now endlessly talking shit about geek shit to the girls that they know, where it's like, it's been normalized so much and boys are so fucking crazy now that I have a feeling like, have women's lives gotten even worse? Anyway, I don't have a real founded thought for this.
But
yeah.
On that particular strain, probably, yeah. Especially the gender divide and how fandoms split, which is like a whole entire other essay on this topic of like the conflicts that arise within primarily female or just generally non-male fan bases. Anyway, yeah, it's certainly a thought, but I think, especially among Audrey's classmates at least, it seems like a lot of girls like games and other nerdy shit as much as she does, so that's heartening at least that they're finding each other, because I found that I didn't really find the similarly nerdy female friends in school, but I found plenty of them online, and now as an adult, obviously.
Yeah, and that those are real life connections that kids are making, just with kids who have their own interests. That's really heartening to think
where they play Minecraft together. Which again, I think is to your point. Like, yeah, I guess you wouldn't want to make kids feel bad for playing video games alone, but like, I'd find that message more compelling than it's easier to destroy than to create, actually. And that's why we have to go back to the real world to create things in our shit lives.
Yeah, and again, like, the movie is nonstop destruction other than that opening thing. Like, and as you noted earlier, the one time something is created at any point in the movie, it's when the Henry character makes a gun that shoots tots, which immediately bristled even me, an adult man watching this movie, because it's like, you can't just put whatever you want on a crafting table and have it work. That's literally not how the game works. And Audrey immediately called that out.
Yeah, among many other things that I didn't quite catch the particulars of what she was calling out. I think also many other children around us did the exact same thing. There was one that got
full
me
voice volume
really good from a kid behind us, and I can't even remember what it was. But it was a real loud nitpick. It might have even just been a basic, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
But also for the message to be, it's important. This is my fifth uncharitable take about this movie. For a message being about like, I'm so sorry, Brian and Rich, for editing this. For a movie that is about...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, Now you're forcing him to keep it in. This is so fucked up.
Yeah, I did.
Or and Brian's not going to do this because he silences women.
Audio removed.
Anyway, a movie that's about creating things and that also has this text about everybody's finances being in the shitter. It's sort of like, well, go back into your lives to create things, which will be great and encouraging for children as they realize that being a creative very rarely works out financially for you.
And it, for the next foreseeable period of time, is going to be harder than ever.
Yeah, and that AI will take upon more of that, and that maybe there's something to the human touch of creation or friendship, because the relationships that are like Jack Black feels the most, as you said about what's the actress's name?
Danielle Brooks.
Danielle Brooks. He feels so disconnected from the other characters, especially even if it's just like reverse shot stuff, where there's just not a whole lot of that except for maybe with Jason Momoa's character. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's going really over the top with it, which I'm sure children love, and he's always great, and he really is giving it his all, but I can't. Again, I'm an adult. It doesn't play for me.
Yeah, his performance, like, the movie requires him to be at that full temperature, full volume the entire time. Like,
yes,
he knows that's what he's signing up for when he does this type of crap now, I think. But yeah, I do think, like, what a gambit it is on a weird level, like, to, you know, because when was the Super Mario Bros. Movie? 2 years ago now? 3 years ago? That, like, the Bowser Peaches song was, like, kind of inescapable for, like, 3 weweeks. And this
never
movie,
heard it, which feels
really?
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating to me. It really was. You're smart not to be on social media, because it's truly I could sing the entire thing.
I rot my brain with Reddit.
I'm
instead.
dying to. Yeah, God. Well, at least Reddit has an ever so slight left-wing bias, whereas the rest of the internet completely does not.
Well, it kind of makes me hate a particular brand of leftist a lot more.
Fair, yeah.
Which is really more like center left, but anyway, whatever. It also just, I feel like it's going to give me an ulcer to read that shit. But I think in terms of picking my poison, I feel pretty good about the fact that I can at least find text longer than 250 characters on it regularly.
And also any hyper-specific fixation that you're interested in.
Because that's the only shit that I look at.
The angriest people in the world discussing it at length.
Exactly.
R.E. Oh yeah. So, like, Jack Black, they are years late to Jack Black breaking into song being the thing that works. And I don't know if they're geniuses or if Jack Black is just really that much of a fucking, like, commodity that he just works in that way. Yeah. But he sings like 4 fucking songs and kids love all of them. And it's like, they did something right. I mean, good call, I guess.
Yeah. I think we haven't really talked about the call and response nature of this movie, which is maybe not even fair to say, other than they did a very successful viral marketing campaign for it. And also children are on TikTok. Because I was trying to find, like, are they referencing things from the game that people would really know? And the answer is no. It's the kids have already seen the clips of it.
Yeah, just from the movie.
And I was shocked at how many of those there were. I had heard that it was a couple, but I didn't realize how regularly it was going to be a thing, to the point of as many people smarter than I have observed that it's a lot like Rocky Horror for children.
Yeah.
And my saving grace in terms of not actively wanting to die during this movie was how palpably the audience and the children enjoyed it. And as much as I may think it's Shrek, because I'm an adult, being in a room full of excited children, even when they're being obnoxious, I think you would have to have the coldest, deadest heart, close to mine, but worse, to not be slightly cheered by it.
Oh, it rocks. It's so fun and funny to be in that room. Like I was laughing compulsively anytime.
I know, me too. And I was looking at you for a lot of those moments of just like, how do they all know this?
Truly. And I mean, I legit think part of it is just like now when a Marvel movie comes out, there's shot in theater with your phone videos of every moment. Like you can find the entire movie piecemeal in those clips on the internet right
and people
away.
Cheering.
Yeah. And this felt like a reflection of that, where it's like in the 2 days since the movie had premiered, kids have already seen 75% of it on the internet before they come to see it. Fascinated by it. But yeah, like I mean, the one thing that felt a little organic to me, like it wasn't just kids partly parroting a thing they'd already seen on the internet, which, not making fun, it's great to parrot things on the internet. It makes you feel cool and funny, especially if it's the first time someone has heard you do it. By the time you've done that like 4 or 5 times in the course of an afternoon, but like there was a moment where Jason Momoa or somebody is saying something cocky and there's a creeper coming up behind him, and it's very clear that creeper is about to mess up his plans. And it was like we were watching Dora the fucking Explorer. The kids being like, oh no, a creeper! Look out, Jason Momoa!
Yeah, it's very sweet how much they clapped and cheered, and how they were the ones who stayed behind and had the patience to be like, wait, there's probably an after credit scene. And of course they were vindicated.
A kid who's like 9 wearing a Minecraft hoodie being like, hold on, we've already seen the mid-credits. There may yet be a post-credits.
Yeah. And how, to Rachel's confusion, how all the kids flip the fuck out at the reveal that it's Alex. I'd be like, how am I supposed to know that?
You didn't see a green-shirted, red-haired woman and immediately lose your mind thinking about the possibilities of Minecraft Part 2?
No, that's Leah from Stardew Valley.
I read that the voice of Alex was provided by Kate McKinnon, which was just like, why did they could have just had a PA do it.
It's true, but also Kate McKinnon and Jack Black in a sequel.
If they got her dialed in for a second one, that would rock.
Yeah. Yeah, at a certain point, I was just actively dissociating through this movie because despite it being a respectable 101
Yeah,
minutes,
they didn't make it too painful.
Oh, it could have been so much longer. And I'll admit that on my Spy Kids rewatches, I did not finish either one of them because those movies are fucking long as shit.
That rocks.
And in order to prepare for this discussion, I was like, I don't think I'm going to finish either one of these, but I at least want a refresher on the 3/4 of both. But this is probably an indictment of my endurance for children's movies and also the children's movies from my childhood that I'm comparing this one to. Anyway, oh boy, especially at a certain point where it's just like fight scenes and me thinking like, oh God, we're not even at the climactic battle yet, and I'm sick of this already. I was just checked out.
There's like multiple big gags that happen during like the action sequences in this movie that felt like, I mean, there's the problem of like overly long periods of like pre-production and previs in like a Marvel movie where it's like the actors will never know what happened in the action scene because it's entirely CGI.
Yeah.
This movie, there were multiple sequences that involved the actors that felt like they just didn't come together. Like there's multiple sequences, like the scene where Henry and Steve are in the minecart and Jason Momoa is behind them and has to get out and push. And it's like truly like one of those sequences that makes my skin crawl in like the Up is a movie about pushing an old man to his death out of a Zeppelin type of thing, where it's like Henry goes like, this is all your fault, you get out and push, and Momoa has to get out and push, and it's just like, that makes this kid seem like such a fucking asshole. But yeah. Momoa's out and pushing, and is a human man pushing a minecart at like a walking speed, but they're completely surrounded by creepers and are in mortal peril from a thing that's coming up behind them. And like the entire sequence just doesn't work. Like the whole thing just feels so thrown together that like it's just there's no suspense to it. It's
Yeah.
like visually what you're seeing on screen is they're about to fail and die. But you know that's not going to happen, so it's just
Yeah.
like, can we just get this fucking shit
Because it's a
over
kids
with,
movie
then?
and they're not the villains.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a Pixar movie where villains deserve to die.
Yeah, deserve to be pushed to their deaths. But
Actually, the number of Pixar villains who don't actually die and you're just cherry picking up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am, because I fucking hate Pixar movies. Leave me alone.
But the good news is, see, in a Disney movie or a DreamWorks movie, you would meet that villain and they'd be a despicable piece of shit, and then you'd see them fall to their death. There's no complexity. There's no maturity to that storytelling. So here in a Pixar
The
movie,
masterclass of the first 10 minutes.
absolutely.
God,
God,
shut the
that's beautiful.
fuck up.
And you give the villain as much pathos as possible, because this is a mature story, so we need to have a relatable, understandable villain who then screams in agonizing pain as they are punished and killed. that is the type of storytelling that America wants.
Yeah, I'll get into this with the Spy Kids thing, because I think those movies are really mean in a way that I fucking love for a
Okay,
kids
tell me
movie
more
that
about
comes
this.
out in the aughts.
That rocks.
Like, the opening sequence of Spy Kids 2 is such a fucking banger. You have Bill Paxton playing this, like, over-the-top theme park owner with a southern accent who's taking the president's daughter on a tour of all the rides. And all of the rides are, like, the most kill you instantly thing possible. And I actually don't even know where I was going with that, other than there's, like, a real sense of menace to it happening. And it also, you know, Carmen and Junie are called in by the Secret Service or whatever to come save the president's daughter because she's climbed up and out of one of the rides because she wants her father, who doesn't pay attention to her, to personally come and get her down. And as Carmen and Junie can't do it, they call in the two other child agents, Gary and Gertie, who show them up with their sick gadgets to actually save the president's daughter and get the credit for it. And they're like classic children's movie bullies, and like children are mean to each other, and there's just an overall thing where there's actual peril. I mean, there's like cosmic horror in the first Spy Kids, like in spades. There's a shit ton of like extremely disturbing body horror for a children's movie, and like, I don't know, I maybe if you watched them you'd get maybe if I finished them, maybe I would have a more coherent argument on this, but they're very mean spirited in a way that was kind of surprising to me watching them as an adult, compared to what you see now, which is very toothless, for lack of a better term. We were just complaining about Pixar villains being pushed to their deaths, but at least like the meanness in the Spy Kids 1 and 2, 3 and on, fucked up even when Joel McHale's there, especially when Joel McHale is there. I don't know. I just think kids' movies should be mean again.
This is all about Joel McHale, isn't it?
It is.
You're so upset about Yellow Jackets season 3. You're so upset about Spy Kids 3.
Yeah, I know.
You've been talking to me about any other project Joel McHale is involved in. Community, Soup.
Yeah, the Soup is the one that I'm really mad about.
Yeah.
Yeah, did I spoil the Joel McHale thing in Yellow Jackets for you?
No. Are you going to spoil it for the audience?
Spoilers for Yellow Jackets season 3, which you should not watch. Watch season 1 and the first 2 episodes of season 2. That's it. Beyond that point, it's not fucking worth it. Exit now if you exit music for a film if you don't want spoilers past the other spoiler that I already did. Joel McHale gets introduced as one of the characters who stumbles upon the girls while they're in the middle of cannibalizing their coach, which is like a big dramatic moment at the end of the Emily St. James episode, because he's introduced as he's not introduced at the end of that episode, but he is part of the party that finds them, which is the one good episode of the season, and that's the first oh shit moment since an entire season ago.
Shout out to Emily St. James. She's one of the best TV critics of all time. She wrote a book on Lost that neither of us has read.
I know. I bought it, though, and I'm going to read it.
Oh, okay. That's more than me.
He lasts 2 episodes before getting killed. But in another way that is a character turn that makes zero fucking sense. He maybe has like total 2 minutes of dialogue. And look, I get it. At least amongst the fandom, this is a men ain't shit show. And that's fine if it were for the fact that this show has like weird sexist undercurrents where like men are the only actual rational characters. And the female characters having reactions to things are always treated as if they are hysterical for having those reactions, whereas the men are the voices of reason. But okay, it's fine. It's feminist, #girl boss. Anyway, yeah, he gets killed like immediately. And he was playing a very broad survivalist badass who smokes cigarettes and hits on the girl in a relationship, the adult woman in the relationship, who then kills him for no reason. Anyway, but it's like he just showed up to die, basically. Again, that's fine. But I hadn't seen him in a while, and it's like, oh, the introduction of these new characters adds an interesting dynamic, and 2 of the 3 are dead within an episode.
That rocks. And is that before or after the scene you were telling me about that, where one of the women characters gets medically diagnosed with hysteria? It sounded a little regressive.
Prescribed a vibrator to treat it. Crazy.
Yeah, and then a lobotomy if that didn't work.
It's really weird how they took this turn where one of the women gets Rosemary Kennedy.
God. Oh.
To be fair, one character kind of... Never mind. Anyway, what else to say about the Minecraft movie?
I don't know.
I was talking about Spy Kids being mean-spirited, and then I didn't actually give any like concrete examples of that, other than like there is a genuine sense of menace, and a lot of the characters are at the expense of other. A lot of the jokes are at the expense of other characters in a way that's like really mean for a kids movie.
Do the other spies who are textbook bullies? Do they end up being horribly punished for what they have done?
I didn't finish Spy Kids 2, and I don't remember what happens to the
Okay, all right.
But you know, Steve Buscemi, excellent in Spy Kids 2. I know it's a meme now. Do you think God 2 stays in heaven for fear of what he's created? The thing is there are a lot of like straight bars in those movies. It's like the goofiest shit ever happens, and then there's mortal peril. And then here's the thing. The crafting thing in Minecraft that is so like not really present. Part of the reason Spy Kids stuck with me so hard as a kid is, and reflecting upon as an adult, is the gadgets are so cool and really creative, and it's kind of a treat to get to see like what cool specialized gadget are they going to pull out next, or is going to get them out of this jam. And I think part of why like end of second act into third act of Spy Kids 2 starts dragging, because their gadgets don't really work on the island, when like the whole there's like a big point of comparison with the Giggles family, or the bully kids, who they are showing off how they have the newest tech gadgets, and so they follow them to the island, and their gadgets don't work now either. So you know that kind of they're really put in their place.
Does it become more of like a scrappy survival movie at that point? Like
a little bit. I mean, there's like the critters that Steve Buscemi has created and that he's afraid of, and there's like familial betrayal and shit,
okay.
Which again is fun for a kids movie. And just there's so much goofy, weird shit that I maybe uncharitably you could categorize as like early LOL random stuff, but like the creature designs are fun. The character designs of like the cosmic horror, body horror for the sake of Alan Cummings' weird kids TV show characters, like those designs are really cool. Tony Shalhoub is one of them.
I do love that.
Yeah. And like I think another big part of the meanness is that like very accurate sibling relationships where they just genuinely bully each other, but also like 2 parents who love each other and their children, and 2 parents who extremely obviously are so fucking hot for each other, in a way that's like very sweet and nice. I don't know.
I love how token the relationships are in the Minecraft movie. That like I feel like it evoked a laugh the first time you meet the two young protagonists who are like the central figures of the movie. When like the first thing is like she says like, "Yeah, mom died and now we own this place." Like it's like the most perfunctory exposition ever.
Yeah.
It really made me laugh.
Yeah, that's
And
the kind
yeah.
of relationship that I just completely don't care about in a movie, partially because Henry is such a. I think this movie could have been a lot worse if Steve was the Henry character, which so many. Like, if this is our child hero, essentially, whose personality
Yeah.
trait is they're the good child hero, which, to be fair to Henry, he is an unusually talented and prolific artist and inventor for his age. Fine, whatever. Maybe something to be said for if he did not actually have the ability to realize those plans in reality, but then is able to realize his creations in the game world, which makes it harder for him to leave. But he makes a mostly functioning jetpack that would have fucking worked if the bullies hadn't
It's
sabotaged
fucking
it.
amazing. He made that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're so right that it very badly undercuts what the movie seems to be doing thematically, that bullies ruined it for him.
Yeah, it's
like,
not that it was
bullies,
bad.
Bullies can fuck your shit up in Minecraft too.
Yeah, which also like that's the thing that's really special about video games for a lot of people who maybe don't have the time put in or like, to IRL creative pursuits or are not at a place creatively where they want to be, where video games give you an opportunity to play around in a 3D or 2D space and create whatever you want. So it puts a lot of creativity and tools of creation in the hands of people who might not do it otherwise. And I think that would have been an interesting angle to explore here, which maybe you could say that's the case for Steve, that he goes from a pencil pusher job to, but that's obviously the more compelling angle for the Henry character. And girls go into the world to fight or get closer to animals, which was already established at the beginning of the story that you like animals.
But it's also clearly established that she hates having to deal with animals. She wishes she didn't have that second other hustle.
Yeah.
But she's good at it. And there's that one shot of her isolated on a green screen going, "Hey, piglins, guess what?" And then standing there as something CGI happens for her. And it was like, wow.
Yeah.
This should be an AT&T commercial. Feature film. It's so tough to watch. I feel so sad for the actors when they're in those situations.
Yeah, but
Like,
they made a shit ton of money, so good for them. They're getting the bag, and I'm sure this will open up other projects for them and give them a little bit more latitude IRL to, have a financial cushion to pursue projects that aren't completely soulless.
I hope they did. I hope they got the bag. I hope so.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't have a lot of confidence in that right now. I think Hollywood, like every other industry on earth, is just moving towards the direction where there's some psycho venture capital bro who's getting the bag and no one else is. But
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah, well, we should probably wrap it up soon for the sake of Brian. We should take it another hour to spite Brian.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And we both have the time and energy to do that. Just
Yeah,
to
we're
spite our dear
clearly
friend.
not flagging, at least on my side, into total bitterness and cynicism, which I've been able to keep under wraps. No, I have.
I think that's why, to some extent, my instinct is to lean with the positive with this movie. I will say, I really enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog 2, a movie that I think somehow managed to keep a lot of the good qualities of the first movie in that series, namely the fact that it is almost unwatchable dog shit and instead is like enjoyable farce.
Okay.
And Sonic the Hedgehog 3 has been broadly hailed as being like the one. And for me, it was a step too far. Like Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is just better enough than Sonic the Hedgehog 2 that it ends up being mediocre instead. And I did not have a fun time watching it at all. And Minecraft, I think, is very good dog shit. Like I really enjoyed watching it. Like I was laughing a lot. The rare occasional treat where it was intentional, and then very frequently when it was not intentional. And for that reason, like, I mean, the movie had me. I was paying attention. It became very trying at times when I think maybe that's something I would say about it that fascinates me is like my least favorite parts of it are the ones that are most rote, where it's like when Henry and Garrett the garbage man, that's Jason Momoa's iconic character's name.
Yeah.
When those characters have like a forced falling out in the middle of everything else going totally fine, that type of thing was just like, you don't even have to do this. You can just keep it going. You can just make the movie stupid. The most rote stuff were the times where I had the most of a hard time getting through the movie.
Forced sibling, I thought I had lost you. Relationship. I mean, and Jennifer Coolidge's little subplot is a very stock thing to do, but she's great and I love her and I was happy every time she was on screen, and I got excited at the beginning because I thought she would go into the Minecraft world with them, and I thought having that type of character in the world completely confused by it would be way more interesting than what we got. But
yeah, that's true. I do weep a bit for the parents who are being dragged to this thing. Thankfully,
and also the movie
Rachel...
theater employees.
Oh God, I know.
To clean up after the showings.
All of the thrown trash and the feral children at the end of the movie.
Check out
their ids being unleashed.
Check out r/movie theater employees if you want to see a glimpse into that. They're saying that it's the worst weekend they've had of a movie in years.
Which, I mean, it's great earnings for Warner Brothers and Microsoft, but yeah, that's a fucking drag to think about.
But as you were saying, Rachel laughed a lot.
I was laughing at the intentional jokes, which Rachel is great at that in terms of just like, I've been trying to learn from that too. Not going into like full on poptimism, but it's like, I'm not going to be above laughing at a funny joke in a piece of shit. Like I love laughing at jokes. But then also like just seemed to be having a ball because Audrey was going nuts. Like I was really happy about that. It's like, I think a percentage of the parents being dragged to this thing are having that experience. And a different other percentage is in fucking hell watching this thing. So I feel for them big time.
Yeah, and like in reading the admittedly very funny Letterboxd reviews about this movie where it's a bunch of adults performatively shitting on a thing, and I realize that's what I've been doing for the past hour and a half. But
victimless. Who are you hurting by doing that?
I'm hurting all the hardcore Minecraft stans, and
that's
because I really care about hurting the feelings of people who like a thing that I dislike, despite our earlier discussion about how you should not take that as a personal severe blow. If you hate David Lynch movies, that doesn't damage who I am as a person. Whatever.
Also, David Lynch is completely criticism proof, because if you ever act like you don't get it, you get to be a fool for having not gotten the thing.
Yeah.
And I say that as obviously I'm obsessed with David Lynch, but I won't think that's something funny about it.
I won't directly name the only person on Letterboxd that I trust, but they do the far and away the best reviews on the site, and they are indeed the only person whose recommendations I trust. They constantly shit on David Lynch, and I find it really funny and enjoyable.
That rocks. Yeah, that's cool.
Which is fascinating with their taste profile, them hating David Lynch amongst all those other things. Variety is the spice of life. People are going to like things and not like things, and that's the whole fucking point of why we talk about media. We don't talk about it for the sake of finding a safe bubble where everybody else glazes the same things or hates the same things, even though there are many places that are explicitly set up for that purpose online, and that a lot of conflicts come from the fact that people want it to be one or the other. Anyway, this is why I want to see what people have to say about things, even if I disagree with them so vehemently that it makes me furious, to the point of writing manifestos in my Google Docs for the viewing
which you
of no
swear
one else.
Will never be published.
Yeah, but
hey, let's at least think about the positive fact that maybe they'll be published posthumously.
Oh my god. Jory,
I'm sorry if that's too dark.
If I die before you, I need you to burn everything I've ever written.
You were saying that there were some Letterboxd reviews.
Oh, yeah, of just like, what's the point of adults performatively giving this a 5-star review? And look, I realize I'm creating a moral high horse by saying that I just refuse to give it a star rating because it's not for me. But like, what are we even doing? This is like the lowest hanging fruit possible. Of course you hate it. Like, it's just not even worth it.
It's true.
I'm being simultaneously mean, not nearly as mean as I want to be, and extremely immediately self-conscious about how mean I'm being.
I know, yeah.
But that's the thing, though. I like being as mean as I want to be to friends, because I'd rather talk to friends than post my opinions online. And I think therein kind of lies the rub of this podcast, where I want to talk about my mean and really uncharitable opinions in the privacy of talking to my friends. But also I have a podcast.
It's going to be published online.
Yeah.
I think a movie like this one, the money people at Warner Brothers and Microsoft are happy with it. I don't think anybody else is happy with this movie. Like,
it's below
I'm
contempt.
Sure, yeah, totally. And like I think that like as much as we all only see the negatives in our own work, I just hope that Jared Hess is happy about that scene where the weird art teacher guy says that his financial future is in shambles, and it's a genuinely funny joke that's out of place in this movie.
Yeah.
I hope that Jack Black feels like he got a little bit of his personality out in this thing that otherwise is so completely bankrupt. Like, maybe people have little wins that they're happy about. Otherwise, I don't think you're hurting anyone's feelings by talking shit about this movie. Nobody fucking cares.
That's true, but a bunch of other things are catching strays here, as they often are.
Yeah, fair.
Sorry if
maybe
you like
Yellow Jackets season 4 won't be what you keep calling it, irredeemable dog shit. Dog shit people.
Yes, I'm totally saying that. Now, I certainly won't be seeing it because the moment the episode drops on Friday and I finish it while watching it in the morning, like only a real hater would, watching it as soon as I'm physically possible, I will be deleting my subscription to Paramount Plus.
Oh!
Yeah.
But how are you going to watch any of the other fine products that are on there? I couldn't think of anything else that's on
You
that
didn't
channel.
even give it a second.
Nope.
Nor should you, because I genuinely looked through it after realizing that wasn't Showtime's Twin Peaks: The Return on Paramount Plus for a while?
I don't know.
No, I was watching The Curse on Paramount Plus, and I thought I had canceled my subscription after my free trial, but I didn't. So I've been paying for it this whole time.
I currently have both Netflix and HBO Max, even though I've watched nothing on them in a period of more than 3 months. Will me bringing this up on a podcast cause me to finally take the minute of effort that it would take to cancel either of those subscriptions? I don't think so.
Because what if in a month you want to watch one movie on that service?
Yep.
It's cheaper than a theater ticket if that's all you do is watch one thing a month. Theater tickets, neither of us paid for, even though you offered to, and I was going to offer to, but I knew that attempt would be futile.
I bought my $9 Doritos nachos, which is just a bag of Doritos and 11 cents worth of nacho goo and plastic.
Nacho cheese with a Z.
I do love nacho cheese, though. I can't act above it. God, I love it so much.
Here's the thing that isn't below contempt. Discovering upon ordering a medium soft drink after finding out that it was Pepsi products at a movie theater. Come on, what are we doing?
Galling.
A medium drink is the size of my head, if not bigger. The large was unconscionable.
It was disconcertingly large.
I don't even know what a small would have been, because typically at a movie, I'm sheepishly asking, am I allowed to get the kids' meal? Which comes with a small drink. But
God damn, I want those Minecraft Happy Meal toys so fucking bad. God, they look so cool.
I haven't seen those. I was tempted by the Creeper drink because I'm a fucking poser, just because it's a cool little novelty that Audrey was very taken by. And I think maybe I wanted to flex on the children that I'm an adult with disposable income and I get to buy one and you don't.
I hate the Minecraft pink sheep popcorn bucket, which is both neither an iconic Minecraft thing, nor is it actually the shape of a container for food.
Yeah.
The Creeper head drink container rocks.
If they had just done a popcorn bucket that was like a block of diamonds or whatever other materials there are.
You are showing your ass right now, my friend.
I have no space to comment on anything about the Minecraft movie because I'm not a true
a block
gamer.
Of diamonds.
What would you call it?
As stated earlier, you get incredibly motion sick playing this game.
Oh, that's the name of this episode. Thank you for dropping it.
It's not good.
emotional minds.
I know that 20 minutes from now you're going to be texting me trying to work this out.
No, I'm not. You know I don't believe. You know I don't belabor jokes that much.
I'm just going to reply, left on red.
Okay, but if you do that in our text thread with Brian before he listens to this episode, he's going to find it really funny and then bring it up for years to come, just like he does with your woke ... but also based ... text.
That means the world
Which
to
he
me.
brings
I think
up
of him as
all
a
the
very
time.
funny man. And yeah, him admiring a bit I made makes me really happy.
He admires all your bits. He constantly talks about how funny and great you are, which is
What a
true.
sweet man.
Which is true of both me and everyone we know, but still.
I respect and care about him a lot.
Emotional Minecraft sickness. Jory, thanks for coming on the show. It's been great as you.
Doing a visual bit at the 11th hour.
Oh God, can you shill the Patreon real quick?
Your Patreon?
No, everyone. No, you want to shill your Substack where you elucidate your right-wing beliefs?
Jory's Japes. Which, yes, is mostly anti-mask, anti-vax stuff.
Mm-hmm, of course. Patreon.com late at night. If you hate hearing ads from Acast for Jordan Peterson, all you have to do, and
That's a true bummer.
I keep reiterating this. We literally shouldn't price it this low for how little we make from your hard-earned dollars that you choose to spend on this show, which I greatly appreciate. But for $2 a month, you not only get ad-free audio episodes, you get access to all of the video episodes from the years of video episodes we've been doing. Honestly, ad-free should be $2. $5 and up should be video episodes, along with the fan Discord and other cool benefits. But why not? $2 a month, $24 a year, probably less if you do the annual subscription, and you never have to hear those pesky ads or complain about them to us. We know.
Also,
ever again.
You guys just dropped that up. That's like Brian's on tour, so here's 2 minis as a full episode release. Yeah. You guys pull that move way less often than like any other podcast I listen to. I listen to pods that are like every other episode is an unvaulted mini. Like
I honestly thought you were going to say we do them too much.
No, you do it way less than most other shows I listen to that have a paywall component.
The thing is that I feel like when we do that, we're shafting the people who have been on the Patreon for years and faithfully listen to the minis every week. But
it's true. But
that shows the kind of devotion that we get, that you get when you join our Patreon.
That's right. No, I think it's good.
So yeah, patreon.com/late night, patreon.com/late night, patreon.com/emotional Minecraft sickness.
Patreon.com.
Leave me alone, God.
No, you didn't have to react that way. I feel like I did something wrong.
Yeah, good. I'm gonna let you sit in that.
Fuck. I went out of my way and made fun of a friend doing a minor misspeak, and now I'm in an existential hell.
You're doing this in absence of Brian. He's trained you well. None of this shit would have slid with Brian, and I thought this was a safe space to enjoy my favorite television show, Yellow Jack. Okay. Sorry, Brian, about this one being long. Everybody, thanks. Be safe. There were like Goodbye, 5 friends. Other funnier end notes that I wanted to do, and then we kept talking. Anyway, go fuck yourselves. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have ended it with go fuck yourselves. It's still recording. I don't know how to make it stop.
This is all staying in, so
set an outro video.
I'm not gonna be fun. I'm not gonna be fun anymore. We agreed to 32 minutes.
Thank fucking God. All right.
Late Night is produced by Brian Wecht and Leighton Gregg. Sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/LeightonNight. Follow us on Twitter at LeightonNight, on Instagram at Leighton_night, or email us at leightonnight@gmail.com.